The more you tell what happens to you, the less others understand you. The more you explain your pain, your dreams, or your plans, the smaller everything seems to become, the weaker you feel, and the harder it becomes to move on. Behind this lies a deep reason that Carl Jung knew very well. Jung discovered that humans have an unconscious need to confirm their existence through others. They seek recognition, understanding, and closeness. But in doing so, they often give away their own strength. Every time you share intimate details of your life without wisdom, you give away something sacred, your inner energy, and even if it seems harmless, it has its price. Because what you tell, you give away, and what you give away no longer belongs only to you. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. The strongest people are not those who talk the most about their process. They are those who live through it quietly and determinedly, because they know their inner battles need no spectators, they need victory. That is why Jung inspires us today to take another path, a path that is not nourished by outer noise, but by inner awakening. Let us discover 15 lessons that will show you why silence at the right time is one of the most powerful acts you can practice, and how exactly this silence becomes your greatest weapon of transformation. But before we continue, remember this: what you do not speak grows within you, and what grows in secret later shows itself with even greater force in the visible. If you are ready to tell less and create more, then this message is for you. Stay until the end. What you are about to hear can forever change the way you understand your life, your relationships, and your meaning. Now we begin. Lesson 1. Words reveal more than you think. Every time you speak, you leave a trace, not only in the other person but also in yourself. Jung said that by expressing an emotion or experience, you bring it from your unconscious to the outside. This can strengthen or weaken you, depending on when, how, and to whom you tell it. Have you ever told something important and later regretted it, as if you had lost something? That is no coincidence. It is your inner self telling you. This moment belonged only to you, and you gave it away too soon. Words have weight. If you use them unconsciously, you lose yourself inside. Silence, on the other hand, protects you. It gives you time to feel, to understand, and to process before you open yourself. Today we are used to telling everything, on social networks, in messages, in trivial conversations. But how often do we ask ourselves, do I really need to say this, or am I only saying it because I don't know what else to do with my feeling? Learn to observe. Listen to your inner space. Not everything you think needs to be spoken. Some things only want to be understood by yourself. Lesson 2. What you withhold becomes stronger. There is a mysterious power that grows in silence. Jung called it the brooding of the soul. When you stop telling everything, you begin to live it more intensely. Instead of seeking comfort outside, you seek it within. And that awakens a wisdom that few know. Do you know why you sometimes feel more confused after talking to someone about your problems? Because you often hope for a solution that only you can give yourself. Silence forces you to meet yourself. And right there, in that intimacy, true change begins. You don't need outside understanding to heal. You need to understand yourself, to make peace with your story, your pain, your doubts. And that needs no witnesses, only dedication. If you learn to walk your path without constantly sharing everything, you will experience another kind of peace. A stronger, deeper, independent peace. Do you feel addressed by this message? Then stay until the end. What is yet to come will strengthen you even more. And if you think these words could help someone, share them. You never know who you might awaken with a small gesture. Lesson 3. The need for recognition makes you weak. One of the greatest enemies of personal growth is the urge to share everything in order to gain approval. Jung said that man's shadow feeds on his insecurity, and one of the most common expressions of this insecurity is the need to talk. If you tell what you feel or do only to be understood, accepted, or praised, you make your identity dependent on others. That makes you manipulable, predictable, and fragile. Inner strength arises when you need no applause, when you can walk even if no one sees you, when you create in silence even if no one notices. Stop using words as an emotional shield. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to convince anyone. Your process belongs to you, and the more you protect it, the more powerful it becomes. Remember, those who talk the most often understand the least, because those who truly understand remain silent. Lesson 4. The soul exhausts itself when you talk too much. Every word has an energetic price. We don't see it, but we feel it. Have you ever felt completely drained after a conversation in which you spoke a lot about your problems? That is emotional exhaustion. Jung taught that talking without awareness weakens the soul because every time you voice your pain, without having processed it first, you reactivate it, make it bigger. It is not about suppressing feelings, but about knowing when to speak, with whom and for what purpose. Wise speaking heals. Habitual speaking tires. Not every wound needs to be spoken. Some only want to be silently embraced, deep inside you. Stop talking to relieve yourself. Start observing your feelings. Write them down if necessary. Breathe them. Accept their presence. And you will see the energy you once put into words will turn into inner strength. Lesson 5. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Jung was convinced the soul protects itself through boundaries, and one of the most important boundaries is whom you reveal your emotions to. Not everyone who listens does so with respect. Some are only curious, others envious, and there are people who will later use your openness against you. Your life is not a play. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Only you know what you have gone through, what you feel, and how hard every single step was for you. Talking too much opens doors that are hard to close later, and often these vulnerable spaces become new wounds. Be selective. Protect your story like something sacred, because that's what it is. Not everyone deserves to know your struggles, and certainly not your dreams. Silence is a form of respect toward yourself. Lesson 6. Transformation happens in secret. True transformation does not happen in public. It happens in silence, in retreat, in the depths of your soul. Jung compared this process to a powerful image, that of the alchemist. The alchemist transforms lead into gold, but he does it in secret, in his laboratory. That is also how your personal change works. An inner, slow, silent process. When you stop talking about what you want to change, you give transformation space. Without pressure, without judgment, without interference, great decisions are made in solitude. And great progress too. You don't have to post every step or tell everyone what you're working on. Do it in silence. Do it with intention. And when the change shows, it will speak for itself. If these words touch you, take a moment to share them. There are thousands of people who are searching for exactly this truth. Well, maybe you are the one to show it to them. And those who truly value you will not expect you to always talk. They will feel your energy, even if you say nothing. Lesson 13. Outer noise suffocates intuition. We live in a time when everything is said, recorded, and published. And in the midst of this noise, we forget something essential. The voice of intuition can only be heard in silence. Jung firmly believed that within every person resides a natural wisdom, an inner compass that guides you. But it doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you are constantly talking, explaining, justifying, you will not hear it. The next time you are confused, don't immediately seek conversation. Sit with yourself, turn everything off, breathe, and listen. At first you may only hear inner noise, but if you stay long enough you will hear something else. This voice from your innermost being, that is your intuition, and it has more answers than you think, but it only speaks in silence. Lesson 14. Sometimes silence is your best protection. When you have been hurt, betrayed, or lost something great, The first impulse is often to speak, to tell what happened, to shout your truth, to relieve yourself. But Jung taught that silence is often not only wise, but also protective. Speaking in pain can make you vulnerable to people who don't deserve it. It can turn your truth into a spectacle for those who don't understand what you are going through. Silence protects you. It gives you time to see clearly. It allows you to heal without exposing yourself. And it prevents your process from becoming the story others can twist. Not everyone deserves to know how you feel, and not everyone can handle what you share. Learn to keep your sacred moments to yourself, and you will see how much faster you heal when foreign voices stay outside. Lesson 15. Silence shows who you really are. In the end, when words fade and nothing more needs to be explained, only your being remains. Jung knew silence is not emptiness. It is revelation. When you stop telling what you do, feel, or dream, you begin to truly live it. And in this quiet experience, your true self emerges. You are what you do in solitude. You are what you think when no one is watching. You are what you carry without showing it. And that is true power. Because no one can take from you what you never told. No one can manipulate what only you know. Your silence is not nothing. It is sacred ground. And whoever learns to dwell in it becomes their own master. Now you understand. Stopping telling everything does not mean closing yourself off. It means freeing yourself. It is not fear. It is wisdom. It is not coldness. It is strength. CARL Jung showed us that the path to true transformation does not lead through noise, not through the opinions of others, but through the deep connection to yourself. So do not fear silence. Rather, fear speaking before you are ready, because words can destroy what silence is healing. Cultivate your inner world, preserve it, protect it, and when one day you are ready to show it, you will not need to explain anything. It will be visible. If this message has touched you, share it. There are thousands of people who need to hear exactly this, but don't know how to ask for it. And if you want to keep receiving such messages, stay close. This path is just beginning. Now you understand, it is not about simply being silent. It is about learning to protect what truly matters, your inner world. CARL Jung never spoke of empty silence, but of fertile silence. A silence that nourishes, heals, and transforms, because what is not spoken grows within you, and what is intentionally kept becomes wisdom. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but hardly anyone is willing to listen to themselves. Everyone wants to speak, but almost no one wants to understand. And you now have the opportunity to break through that, to walk a new path, a path that is more genuine, stronger, freer. Silence does not mean disappearing. It means becoming visible in a new way, from within yourself, from your truth. And when you learn to live without telling everything, something incredible happens. You no longer need anyone to understand you, because you have understood yourself. You no longer need to prove anything, because your life speaks for itself. You no longer seek validation, because you have given yourself what you once expected from others. That is power, that is maturity, that is awakening. Jung did not leave us these lessons as rules, but as lighthouses, as guides, so that you can find yourself in the midst of the noise of this world. If you truly live them, you will never be the same person again. For whoever has learned to be silent with wisdom will never again beg for understanding. Think for a moment. All that you have told in your life to friends, family, people who may no longer even be there, what did you really achieve with it? Understanding, relief, judgment, indifference. The truth is, much of what we share to heal only hurts us more. Because not everyone understands from where you speak. Not everyone has experienced what you have, and even with the best intentions, they cannot grasp your truth as deeply as you can. This leads us to a powerful realization. There are things that only you can carry. Not because you must carry everything alone, but because there are parts of your soul meant only for you. What you keep quiet about does not isolate you. It protects you, prepares you, defines you. And when you learn to live this way, you discover something even deeper. The true enemy was never the other. It was your need to be understood. It was that part of you that believed you had to explain yourself in order to be accepted. And that was the trap. The day you stop telling your process in order to feel its value is the day you set yourself free. The day you stop using words as crutches and begin to walk with the strength of your experience. Because there is a silence that is not empty, but full of meaning. They are sacred pauses in which your next stage ripens. And in this pause, in this seeming stillness, you grow. Jung said that man is split between what he shows and what he hides. And true balance arises only when you learn to reconcile both worlds. It is not about hiding or closing yourself off. It is about wisely choosing what you share and what you keep. Keeping something for yourself does not mean being silent out of fear, but meeting life with respect, for some processes are not shouted out, they are honored. Silence then becomes not absence, but temple, a space in which you rebuild yourself, where you do not need to explain, do not need to convince, do not need to lie. Only you, your truth, and the wonder of being in connection with yourself. And right there begins your true development. Therefore today, I invite you more than ever to make peace with your silence. Stop fighting against that part in you that does not want to tell everything. It is not selfishness, it is emotional wisdom. And believe me, when you begin to live like this, much will change. You will become more selective, stronger, more focused. You will stop wasting time in empty conversations. You will stop giving yourself to people who cannot really receive you. And above all, you will stop betraying yourself just to fit into worlds where you never belonged. Your silence will become your new identity. And from then on, everything you create will be more genuine. So now ask yourself this question. Which part of you deserves to be protected? Which process you are going through needs silence instead of words? And when you find the answer, give it space. Protect it. Love it. Because right there, your new version arises. If you have read this far, then something in you has awakened. Something that no longer wants to live half alive. Something that no longer needs to speak in order to be accepted, but wants to be silent in order to be free. This was not an ordinary video. It was an invitation, an open door to a new way of life, more conscious, clearer, more genuine. And now it is up to you to decide what you will do with what you have heard. You can let it pass by like many other messages, or you can do something new. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and make a decision. A quiet, intimate, powerful decision to protect your inner world, to preserve your energy, and to live your process without having to tell everything. That is emotional maturity. That is growth. If something in this message has touched your soul, do not ignore it. Share it with someone who needs to remember that silence is not weakness, but strength. That silence is not escape, but a way to ground yourself. And that not everything needs to be said, because the most valuable is protected. And now tell me, which part of this message touched you the deepest? Write it to me in the comments. I want to read it. And if you feel that this content was made for you, then subscribe. Because here we do not speak just to speak. Here we transform. Your soul knows it.